flash. Sudhir, I'll just take a couple of minutes, okay? Uh, I'm just flashing the schedule. I have posted that also on both our Google Drive, as well as I have sent out link to all of you on. So I think most of you have received it. If you have any problem in just accessing that, let me know. We are in week 3 now today. This is a presentation about customer experience, and Dr. Sudhir Kale will talk about it. I'll just introduce him in a minute. But then I also want to talk about the next 3 weeks or 2 weeks, week 4 and 5. We will have break, and the break is in order to allow time for all the cohort companies to finish up assignments, connect with their mentors. There are always this initial first weeks, a few weeks of you need some time to just sort of get into the flow. So make use of this time. This is also time when a lot of us are traveling, and some of you might be also traveling. So that's also a consideration because there is a Christmas holidays and people have their plans. So it's a combination of both, but please work with your mentors on all the assignments in the past, and then there will be some reading material that we'll post as well. So make use of the time in the next 2 weeks to catch up on that one. Are there any questions on this schedule, or are there any issues so far? Okay, if not, I'll just quickly introduce Dr. Sudhir Kale. Sudhir is based in Australia, very good friend of ours, has been mentor in all the cohorts. He has a PhD and he's a founder of his own company, Game Plan Consultants. He's also a professor, and his area of expertise is into customer experience. You will, when you hear him today talk about this, you will know how deeply he knows this field. And we are really privileged to have him on this mentor team, presenting this to the cohort companies. So please make full use of this expertise that's available to you. If you have any question about Dr. Kai's presentation, please feel free to ask that right in that first hour session. And if you still continue to have questions, you can discuss that in the breakout room with your own mentors or offline later on, or you can always drop email to Dr. Kai as well. Okay, so with that, I'll hand it over to Sudhir. Sudhir, please take it over.
Thank you. All right, how do I make the sound, share sound as well? Is there a box here, I'm told?
Yeah, when you share the screen, there is a checkbox at the left side of your screen.
Share sound, yep. So that's it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, all good?
Yep, your
Yes.
screen is visible.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Sanjayji, for that wonderful introduction. And since it's the first time I'm connecting with a lot of you after a while, thank you so much for all your good wishes, emails, phone calls, and a few visits to the hospital. For those of you who may not have been aware, I went through 4 brain surgeries in a span of 2 months. And actually, I was not on the schedule because nobody expected me to be in a shape to be able to even participate in the uh, seminars, let alone being able to lead a session. So again, thank you so much. It was truly a miracle that I survived, but I'm going to use that time to good effect, whatever bonus time I have. All right. So just a bit about my background. I'm a recovering academic, as Dr. Bandari mentioned. taught at major universities in the US. In the US, I taught at Arizona State University, University of Illinois, where I got my PhD from. Then in the National University of Singapore, Australia at Bond University, and the University of Macau, where I was a distinguished professor of gaming. So some of the areas, one thing that is terrible about me is I have very low threshold of boredom. The moment I think I understand something, I go on to a new area. So some of the areas I have dabbled in, I wouldn't say I have expertise in, would be corporate culture, customer experience, branding, employee engagement, and now more recently, startups. My current focus is on the hospitality industry, which one would classify as a segment of the services industry. I've had $1 billion clients on 5 continents, most of them gaming clients. And my massive value transformation is partnering positive transformation around the globe. This is MTP, massive value proposition. And this came out of Singularity University, which is actually located in the Bay Area, I think on NASA premises. So they say that you should have big, hairy, audacious goals in terms of what you're trying to achieve, either with your company or with your life. And I would go so far as to say that that should also apply to your customer value proposition. One of the reactions I had to last week's business model canvas presentations was that the customer value propositions were too narrowly stated. Okay, it needs to be something exciting. It needs to be something inspiring. So when I'm making a presentation to the client and I say, my massive value proposition is partnering positive transformation around the globe, then I get their ears. And then I elaborate on that, saying that in the past I would cut a check for anybody, who hired me. But now, unless there's a truly positive transformation, either for the customers or for the employees, I'm not going to be working for the company. And that actually gains their respect. And your hit rate increases, not decreases, when you try to position yourself in that way. So that's me in a nutshell, by the way. I also make a lot of bad puns. All right. So the job to be done. This is a really new concept. If you look at a marketing book that is 8 to 10 years old or older, you will not find JBTD in there. Okay? It is really new, really fascinating, because it says forget the concept, who the customer is, forget the demographics, forget the psychographics. Ask yourself, what is the job the customer is trying to get done through my particular product? If you can answer that one simple question effectively, actually it's not that simple, but if you can answer that question effectively, then I would say 70-80% of everything that you do in terms of marketing kind of falls in place. So according to Clay Christensen, who came up with the concept, he says we don't really buy products, we hire products to do a particular job. Of course, the term hire is a metaphor here. If the product does the job well, then we rehire that particular brand. If the job is clumsily done, then we change to somebody else. We fire the former supplier. So basically, what is the word product here? It's any solution that companies sell. Okay? It could be the full set of candidates we consider hiring when we go well beyond the offerings from the companies. So for example, you You learn a lot of weird things about yourself when you're in a hospital for 90 days. When I was in the hospital, people who had not communicated with me or had communicated with me, like my group from Jamnalal Bajaj, when Bajaj only took like 40 people out of 10,000, and my batch was 78 to 80, suddenly they all got in touch with me. And one of my friends, who is a Bawa, a Parsi guy, who lives in New York, he hired a priest based in Paris to do some rituals, Parsi rituals for me. So, and he was sure that, that is going to take care of the issue. So should I have fired the neurosurgeons and, just use his services? We are not too sure, but I didn't rule that out. Okay. Other people said, and then suddenly this, maybe I'm disclosing too much, but suddenly out of nowhere, I had not heard of this before, Ma Kamakhya kept appearing to me. And no matter what I read, what video show I watched, whatever it may be, her name kept on propping up. So then somebody else said, maybe that's a sign that she's looking after you and you should go to the Kamakhya temple in India, in Guwahati, when you go there next. So maybe that's again something that is job to be done. Again, we'll never know what actually caused the healing. Obviously, the doctors were over and above in terms of their competence, in terms of their attention, in terms of the treatment and all of those things. But then again, when we say the word product, it could be any of those products that could have at least partially got the job done. Okay. So when we buy a product, we essentially hire the product to do the job. If it does the job well, we hire it next time. All right. So basically, this is a lens, okay? A lens through which we can understand customer needs, which are effectively defined and communicate. And then we can use these to make our marketing, our product, our innovation a lot more predictable. So again, we are going a long way from the traditional marketing, the 4 Ps, and demographics and psychographics and all of that. Okay. Over here, we are saying, okay, I don't consider that much. There is a role, but there's a very small role which we'll come to. What really matters is, in this particular context, what is the job your product or brand is doing? And who are the other quote unquote suppliers who will accomplish the same thing? All right. So the unit of analysis is no longer the customer or the product. It is the functional job that you are trying to get done. Markets aren't defined around products. They're defined around group of people who are trying to get a job done. Now spend a minute to wrap your heads around this, okay? Because this is radically new thinking. And imagine if from the start, you incorporate this in your business model canvas. The markets aren't defined around products. It's about group of people trying to get a job done. Customers aren't buyers, they're job executors. And this thing about customer needs, oftentimes we say, oh, they are vague, they're unknowable. We never really know till the product hits the market. It's not that. Customer knows what they are trying to achieve. They may not be able to verbalize that in one go. However, they use the job to be done as the yardstick around which they will judge the efficacy, the effectiveness of your particular product. Competitors aren't companies in product situations like you. They're any solution being used to get the job done. Okay? So let's take the case of use one of our participants groups here. Let's take Zen gurus. Okay, who are their competitors? They literally have tens of thousands of competitors, from retired business executives who kind of have positioned themselves as life coaches, to spiritual coaches, to people like Sadhguru, to religious gurus, to psychologists. I mean, there's no dearth of the number of competitors that they will have, because they all claim that they can get the job done. Now, this one is important. Customer segments aren't based on demographics or psychographics. They're based on how customers struggle differently to get a job done. And frankly, I think we are paying too much emphasis on demographics. I mean, I've had this debate with Sudhir Kadam a couple of times. I, as a marketer who has spent 40 years in the university setting, can firmly say that demographics has lived its use by date. Demographics can tell you who is engaging in the information, in the purchase. They don't tell you why people are making that particular decision. And there are umpteen examples of this, like the Mazda, when it was first launched, I think in 1956 or 53, it was appealed to the new car buyer, young people fresh out of college, having gotten their first job because of the immense prosperity after World War II. As it turned out, the median buyer of the Mazda was somebody aged 56, the Ford Mustang. So huge difference in terms of what the company had thought they would buy, who would buy the product, and who actually ended up buying the product. Another example, when I was at the University of Illinois doing my PhD, for some reason we are trying to look at the profile of an average X-rated moviegoer. And we did lots of surveys, did lots of focus groups, actually came up with a wonderful profile that the person is X years old, lives in this kind of a neighborhood, has this kind of a 3.2 bedroom house, has 2.3 kids. I don't know how you can have 2.3 kids. I'm still trying to figure out. And has a dog named Sam. And then we looked at that profile with a whole bunch of cities out of the US. And what we found was the median profile of the resident of Salt Lake City, Utah, precisely matched the median profile of the mean X-rated moviegoer. So what does that mean? Basically, it's a spurious average. You don't go to Salt Lake City, Utah, and open a whole bunch of X-rated movie theaters. Okay. So now we get back to our job to be done. Start out with an example. So a few years ago, one of the consultants by the name of Bob Mesta, he got an assignment from one of the condo owners in Metro Detroit. So this company was building a series of condos, and they were geared toward people who are looking to downsize. That is, retirees to move out of the family home because it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain and expensive, or divorced single parents. And they were priced accordingly. The condos were very elegantly designed with squeakless floors, triple waterproof basements, granite counters, stainless steel appliances, you name it. And they had invested a lot into highly qualified sales team to promote the product. Surprise, surprise, they did not reach the estimated sales that they wanted to reach. So then the company said, okay, now what is going wrong over here? After a few interviews, what came out was these were retirees. What they were concerned about, interesting rationale, but when you get to that age, you realize that this could be important. They were concerned about their dining table. Hey, will that dining table fit into my new condo? Why, they could sell the dining table, buy a new one. It's not about that. But in the US, most people's memories are built around the dining table, and they didn't want to let go of that. Number two, what to throw away and what to keep. I mean, of course, you have to downsize. What do you need right now and what do you don't need? How do you get rid of that? Do you have the time, or is there a pressure to get rid of that? So those were some of the considerations that the older people had. And then, of course, the condo developers had no answer to this. Once they found out that, okay, these are people's concerns, then they said, fine, we will design the dining area such that your dining table would fit. Number two, we'll give you 2 years of storage capacity and an area to sort out your stuff so that you can still move in and then sort it out at your pace. That way you won't feel under any pressure. So in this particular case, you found that the job to be done and the competition was not the other competitive providers of condominiums. In fact, one of the jobs to be done could be the option of not moving at all. That would be an option, although that would become increasingly impractical with the passage of time. All right. So this is one example. So job is basically, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's deliberate. What the individual seeks to accomplish. It's not just a simple goal, it's the experience the person is trying to create. What about the pressure of moving? What about the friends I'll be leaving behind? So what the condo buyers sought to achieve was to completely different from the circumstance of buying a new home. Okay. All right, so here's a short video. I hope the sound works. This is always a tough one.
Hi, my name's Clay Christensen. I'm a professor at the Harvard Business School. I brought with me a set of puzzles, all related to innovation. We decided that the way we teach marketing is at the core of what makes motivation difficult to achieve. The most helpful way we've thought of it so far is that we actually hire products to do things for us. And understanding what job we have to do in our lives for which we would hire a product is really the key to cracking this problem of motivating customers to buy what we're offering. So I wanted just to tell you a story about a project we did for one of the big fast food restaurants. They were trying to goose up the sales of their milkshakes. They had just studied this problem up the gazoo. They brought in customers who fit the profile of the quintessential milkshake consumer. And they'd give them samples and ask, could you tell us how we can improve our milkshakes so you'd buy more of them? Do you want it chocolatey or cheaper, chunky or chewier? They get very clear feedback. They would then improve the milkshake on those dimensions, and it had no impact on sales or profits whatsoever. So one of our colleagues went in with a different question on his mind, and that was, I wonder what job arises in people's lives that cause them to come to this restaurant to hire a milkshake. So we stood in a restaurant for 18 hours one day and just took very careful data. What time did they buy these milkshakes? What were they wearing? Were they alone? Did they buy other food with it? Did they eat it in the restaurant or drive off with it? It turned out that nearly half of the milkshakes were sold before 8 o'clock in the morning. The people who bought them were always alone. It was the only thing they bought, and they all got in the car and drove off with it. So to figure out what job they were trying to hire it to do, we came back the next day and stood outside the restaurant so we could confront these folks as they left milkshake in hand. And in language that they could understand, we essentially asked, excuse me, please, but I got to sort this puzzle out. What job were you trying to do for yourself that caused you to come here and hire that milkshake? And they'd struggle to answer, so we'd then help them by asking other questions like, well, think about the last time you were in the same situation, needing to get the same job done, but you didn't come here to hire a milkshake. What did you hire? And then as we put all of their answers together, it became clear that they all had the same job to do in the morning, and that is they had a long and boring drive to work. And they just needed something to do while they drove to keep the commute interesting. One hand had to be on the wheel, but somebody had given them another hand and there wasn't anything in it. And they just needed something to do while they drove. They weren't hungry yet, but they knew they'd be hungry by 10 o'clock. So they also wanted something that would just go down there and stay for their morning. Good question. What do I hire when I do this job? You know, I've never framed the question that way before, but last Friday I hired a banana to do the job. Take my word for it, never hire bananas. They're gone in 3 minutes, you're hungry by 7:30. If you promise not to tell my wife, I probably hire donuts twice a week, but they don't do it well either. They're gone fast, they crumb all over my clothes, they get my fingers gooey. Sometimes I hire bagels, but as you know, they're so dry and tasteless. Then I have to steer the car with my knees while I'm putting jam on them, and then if the phone rings, we got a crisis. I remember I hired a Snickers bar once, but I felt so guilty I've never hired Snickers again. Let me tell you, when I come here and hire this milkshake, it is so viscous that it easily takes me 20 minutes to suck it up that thin little straw. Who cares what the ingredients are? I don't. All I know is I'm full all morning and it fits right here in my cup holder. Well, it turns out that the milkshake does the job better than any of the competitors, which in the customers' minds are not Burger King milkshakes, but it's bananas, donuts, bagels, Snickers bars, coffee, and so on. But I hope you can see how, if you understand the job, how to improve the product becomes just obvious.
Okay. So I think, that particular video really brings to the fore the importance of job to be done. And one thing to remember is that circumstances are more important than many times customer characteristics, product attributes, new technology, or the trend. So for example, with the condo, they tried to make the condo units ideal, but when they saw innovation through the lens of the customer's circumstances, the competitive field changed totally. So, what makes an innovation successful? one thing, like in the case of the condos, people were looking for simpler lives without the hassles of home ownership. Now, that particular sentence summarizes the essence of the way these people need to be marketed. Prior to that, they had to go through the stress of selling their own homes, wading through the exhausting choices about what to keep, or they could stay where they can, but that would be impractical. And then finally, the third option, which involved not moving at all. So it's never about a single function. There are also emotional and social dimensions. That's why particularly moving homes can be such a painful decision for most people. So the first one, creating customer experiences, identifying and understanding the jobs are only the first steps in creating the products that people want. It's also essential to create the right experiences for the customer to purchase and use of the product to integrate it into the company's process. So, for example, the sorting room, giving the customer the time to store their whatever they have, and most people do have a lot of things, till the customers make the decision to sort these things out. And then, of course, having the right journey map. So, which is another important part of the marketing puzzle. If you get the job to be done and the journey map right, I think you got 90% of marketing right. Okay. So we'll quickly cover the journey map. Normally, I take about a week to cover each topic of these. So now I think I have about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we'll quickly go through the customer journey. Now, what is customer journey? We need to step back a bit. Market research has made significant headways over the last 40, 50 years. I still remember when I had to write SPSS programs by hand and do all the statistics by hand. Now it takes a minute, just chuck it into the SPSS program. We have more data than we can point a stick at, and yet our capacity to predict and estimate the decisions of the customer are as elusive as ever. In other words, we are ill-equipped with our current choices to understand customer issues. Part of that is very few decisions are made at the level of conscious awareness, and that is what we try to tap when we do focus group, when you do market surveys and the like. Okay. So Jerry Zoltman, former colleague of mine, he said that no, 80% of the decision making, 85% of the decision making happens below the conscious level, and customers decide on the basis of what he calls metaphors. He has identified 7 metaphors. The first is journey, second is balance, third is container, fourth is transformation, fifth is connection, sixth is resources, and seventh is control. I'd love to talk about each of these, that would be fantastic because they're all quite intriguing, but we'll save that for another day. So using the notion of journey, okay? So many things in life we interpret as a journey, or we interpret through the metaphor of journey. In Hinduism, we have the 4 panthas in life. Yeah. The brahmacharya, the grihastha ashram, the sannyasa ashram, and the vanaprastha ashram. Again, plotted as a journey for people to go through. And the customer journey beautifully answers Peter Drucker's call, who says the only purpose of business is to create a customer. And business has only two functions, marketing and innovation. Marketing is the distinguishing, unique feature of business. So why a customer journey map? First, the way it tells you the way people actually go about choosing our products, similar to the job to be done. Second, a customer journey map is a visualization of the process that the buyer goes through using a particular product or service. By the way, it shouldn't be product or service, it should be good or service, because products comprise of both goods and services. Products is the all-enveloping term. And customer journey maps basically allow you to understand the experience of the customer from the customer's point of view, from which we can get valuable insights. So based on Gartner's analysis, 82% of the businesses have used customer journey maps or currently use customer maps, but only 47% of them felt like they were using these effectively. Okay. So what is the process of the customer journey? There are three stages that we consider. First is the pre-purchase stage, second is the purchase stage, and the third is the post-purchase stage. The pre-purchase stage is what happened before the customer comes to you or before you go to the customer. And the post-purchase stage is what happens after the customer has bought your product, consumed it, maybe disposed it, what's the customer going to do then? And in each of these, there are certain touch points. The pre-purchase touch points they could be brand owned, like your company's website. They could be partner owned, like let's say Walmart selling your particular products. They could be customer owned, customer's friend or family. Or they could be social or external, like social media or looking for reviews on the internet. Okay? The behaviors at the pre-purchase stage, there is need recognition, consideration of the different brands, and the search process. At the purchase stage, again, you have those same four touch points. The behaviors here are you actually make a choice, you order the product, and you pay for it. And in the post-purchase stage, again, the same touch points, the behaviors, you consume the product or you use the product, you engage with the product and the supplier, there could be certain service requests. So it doesn't matter what good or service it is, they all happen in time along this particular customer journey. Okay? So this just tells you the importance of the customer journey in terms of your customer experience score. Okay, now we get to the nitty-gritty of what a customer journey map looks like. Okay. So there are three zones in a sense. So zone number one is the lens. What is happening? You're trying to understand your customer better. Zone number two, or zone B, is the customer's experience. As the customer navigates the pre-purchase stage, the purchase stage, the post-purchase stage, what is the customer thinking? What is the customer doing? More importantly, in terms of number 6, what is the emotional roller coaster that the customer is experiencing. Okay? And zone C, it's like, so what? What does that mean to us in terms of the opportunities that this is uncovering? And once you understand the customer journey map, you understand what the opportunities exist for you as a supplier in each of these different stages, then you have to have somebody take ownership of that opportunity to drive the opportunity so that the customer's pain point are minimized, so that the customer's gains are maximized. Okay? So that's what a customer journey map looks like. Any immediate questions right now? None? I cannot see all of you. I can only,
You
see
can
a handful.
also, yeah, the core companies can also post questions in the chat, and then Sudhir, maybe you can address them probably whenever you find time.
Okay, yeah, because I tried to open the chat earlier while I was doing this, and then it just stopped. It stopped the flow of the slides, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So this is
I
what it
think it
looks
is,
like.
sir, I think this is going good. Let's continue the flow.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Thank you for that, Sandeep. All right. So this is the skeleton. And just like the business model canvas, there's no one right way of designing it, but there are many wrong ways of designing it. All right. So what we will do, I think we have what? We have about 20 minutes left. We'll actually populate this particular skeleton using some interesting example that way you'll have a better understanding of how to draw, how to construct basically a customer journey map. Okay. So zone A, it's the lens through which you look at the customer by understanding the customer's persona. What is the persona? Who is the customer? What is their background? What is their socioeconomic background, makeup? What are they trying to achieve? What situation are they in right now? Zone B, that's where you saw the squiggles and the curves. That's the heart of the customer journey map. Okay. It is the chunkable processes of the customer journey across the three phases. What are the actions, the thoughts, and the emotional experience the customer has throughout the journey? That is very important because that opens up opportunities for you to step in as a supplier. Also, you can look at the competitors' customer journey maps, or you can design those and see where they are the weakest. And then zone C, that is where you get the payoff from the whole thing, whereby you discover the customer insights, customer pain points, but now you have the opportunities of going forward and who is going to take internal ownership of these particular opportunities. So let's take an example. Let's take an interesting case of Mahua Moitra. I can see smiles on people's faces the moment I mention her name. I don't know why. So as you know, Mahua has been through a lot lately, been out of parliament, getting into one confrontation after the other. She has had a tough life, okay? So she goes to her friend, Shashi Tharoor, and she says, Shashi Bhai, I'm really, really struggling. Can you help me? And then being the loyal friend, particularly females, but that's all right, that Shashi Tharoor is, he says, yes, Mahua, of course, good thing you came to me. I think you need to approach Zen gurus. You need to approach Mr. Bingarkar's company. They have tens of thousands of gurus, and I'm sure they'll find just the right guru for you. Okay? So then, if we are going to be of help to Mahua, we need to understand her personal details, right? So age 47, occupation politician, what are her likes, Ferragamo shoes, Louis Vuitton bags, Rottweiler dogs, a good cigar every now and then. What's her personality? She's an ENTJ, if you know Myers-Briggs. Extroverted, intuitive thinking and judging. Key weaknesses, use of profanity in language. In fact, that contributed significantly to her expulsion from the Lok Sabha. All right, so that's the background we have. The scope summary. Being expelled from the parliament, Mahua is facing an identity crisis. She's struggling on, it should be, on the social and political front, personal front. She seeks solace from the barrage of controversies she finds herself in. Anybody would, right? I mean, initially you had a good job with Goldman Sachs, you had a good relationship going, then you get into the Lok Sabha, you had all the perks and privileges of being a parliamentarian, and it's all gone. Goals, where do I go to find peace and contentment? Is there a life coach or a guru who can guide me in my quest for a calm and settled life that is full of purpose and devoid of controversy? So in effect, that's what she is expecting when she goes to zengurus.com. All right. So like we said, the research says, okay, what she has done. And that actually comes out of the empathy map, which I think Mr. Dapke talked about. And then, I'll just show you that very briefly afterwards. So basically, who does she talk to? What does she feel? What does she see? Who does she consult? All of those things. So then she's excited, okay, Shashida has solved my problem. I think I'll go to Zen Gurus. But then when she goes to Zen Gurus, what actually happens, is that the website is quite complicated. Initially, she's excited, but then the application, what she finds is that it's just too many gurus, very hard to navigate. The application process is too long. I never thought I'd get through it. The onboarding process, so that's kind of a downer. Then the onboarding process and assessment has taken over a month. That's where the flat line of the curve is. Did not take that long even for me to get admitted to a US university, she says. I guess if you go to Mount Holyoke, you don't, but that's all right. But then finally she gets onboarded. The website through Jeevan Bingarkar, they do find her a guru and she's on cloud 9. I'm so happy to have finally found my guru, and she actually starts activating this particular product. Stays with it for a few months. In about 6 weeks, the newness wears down. She realized that the guru expects too much discipline from her. That's not in her blood. The process is too slow, and things start going downhill. So she says, maybe I need to look elsewhere. Okay. So that is the journey she has gone through in terms of the pre-purchase stage, the purchase stage, and the post-purchase consumption stage. So that's one simple kind of a description of a customer journey. Now the opportunities for Zen gurus, improve the information on the website and provide better customer service. Okay? When I went to the Zen Guru's website, I don't know if you have, but I'd urge you to. It's nicely done. But they say, okay, are you entering as a seeker or are you entering as a guru? What if I'm just curious about something, I don't want to, I just want to see what they're offering. So maybe something else needs to precede that. Streamline the process, reduce the steps involved in terms of matching the guru with the seeker, provide better online-offline balance. Then in terms of the enrollment, reduce the wait time by optimizing internal processes, provide better wait time communication, increase the time to get an assigned guru, improve the guru-seeker matching process, provide more contextual help. Now, again, I'm assuming a lot of things, okay? Here, both on the part of Zen gurus, maybe they are not that lax in many of these things, as well as Mahua Moitra. But based on available information, and this took me a few hours, by the way, but now I believe that I know Mahua really, really well. So, okay, so that is what it looks like, okay? So another example in terms of changing the provider for your phone services plan. Something similar, we won't go through the whole thing again because I think I have about 10 minutes left. So that's another much simpler example. So again, going back to a job, so identify the customer journey, and then the final puzzle is to integrate the job to be done in your functions and support processes. Because all of the internal processes exist for a reason. The reason should be to support the customer in the job that they are trying to get done. So first one, identify the customer needs. Ask yourself 3 questions. What pain points do my customers have in common? So for example, again with Zen gurus, you have on the guru side, people who want to my wider following, if you will, you want to use that term, but do not have the wherewithals with which to achieve it. From the seeker standpoint, they need a good vetting process by which to identify the guru, whatever the purpose of the guru might be, financial, it might be career-wise, it might be spiritual, it might be physical, fitness, whatever, at a reasonable cost. What do they currently lack? They don't have the information, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the reach. What challenges exist for them? Like, again, when I was in the hospital, I just got tired, started reading different books. And then some of the books I read were on Agora. Now, I don't know how many of you might be aware of Agora. Most Indians I have talked to, they have not heard of Agora. So I put that on the net, and I find sites responding to Agora from Brazil, from Colombia, from Germany. So the challenges that exist for somebody like me who wants to know about Agora is that there's nobody I can access right away. Determine the customer's desired outcome. Now, this is important, okay? And this will help you in your customer value proposition, which is the next session. With reference to your products or services you provide, complete the following process as though you were the customer. Help me do. What is it you want to do? I want guidance, going back to Zen gurus. I want just the right mix of guidance. Help me avoid fraudulent gurus. or people who want to swindle money from you. And I need to accomplish this in a reasonable time period with a reasonable budget. Help me save, help me save time in the morning. That is the context. Or I need to take more clothes when I travel, or articulates the need, for a carry-on suitcase. You may find it helpful to ask the customer to complete the phrases so you can gather the variety of job to be done. The three key job to be done questions. What does the customer want to achieve? What could help the customer achieve this, such as resources, tools, or information? What constraints does the customer have for achieving the desired outcomes? Lack of budget, lack of knowledge, very fragmented market, whatever it may be. What are the functional aspects of what they need done? Okay, moving into a new condo, first I need to sell my own home. I need some kind of, may need some kind of help with that. I may need financing, or I may need the support of a bank. And then I need a mortgage lawyer to do the new mortgage. What social or emotional factors correspond to the customer's objective, including how they want to feel and be perceived by others? Okay. Like the stress of home ownership. How can I help them minimize that? Or how do I want to be perceived by others? Do people, when I'm engaging in this particular behavior, what is the image I'm trying to portray? So these are the key job to be done questions. So I want to listen to my, if it's Spotify, listen to my favorite songs when it is the situation or the context, while exercising, so that I can feel motivated and inspired without having to listen to commercials or skip songs that I don't like. You see how well this kind of answers those particular questions. If you're Spotify, then those are the questions you need answered. Okay? So, what are the promoting and resisting forces when it comes to jobs to be done? Struggle of the moment. Yeah, something is not right, it is frustrating, it is disappointing. And till things get to a certain point, you're never going to basically get off your bum as a customer. And attraction to the product. So those two things will attract you to it. What's going to detract you? Habits of the present. I'd really like to get shape and have a chiseled body, but I really like to have my six-pack at night, six-pack of beers. That is going to be a huge resistance. And anxiety is about the product. Oh, they say that you're going to lose 10 kilos in 10 days. Obviously these are paid models. It's not before and after. That's not realistic. I don't really believe that. So those would be certain anxieties that would resist you from buying those particular products. Okay, finally, we have looked at the business model canvas. We are going to have a values model canvas, and this is a jobs to be done canvas. So this will be your assignment for the next 2 weeks, for you to design a jobs to be done canvas. So you have to describe your job performer. You have to describe what their aspirations are. What are some of the related jobs they have? Like, people are moving into a new condo, selling their existing home, hiring the services of a real estate agent, hire the services of a mortgage attorney to do the mortgage for the new home, to get rid of the old home, and all of those things. What is the target job So the target job is that one thing, painless downsizing. What are the job steps? So what would be the first step? First step would be to find a condo that suits your particular purpose. What would be the middle and what would be the end, okay? And then what are the emotional and social aspects with regards to the beginning? What are the outcomes that people want with that particular product? And what are the job differentiators? What separates me from others in terms of the jobs to be done? Okay, so I think we are smack on time. Any questions, folks?
Hello, Sudhir. This is Sanjay.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for a great presentation. It
Thank you.
was very insightful. One of the question I have is the customer journey for B2C customer versus B2B customers, where the enterprises needs to take buying decisions. And buying decisions sometimes hierarchical. It starts like from maybe from the for my product, like we have some surgical navigation system where we have something to do with the hospital which use this product. So decisions maker is starting from doctor to the biomedical to the procurement department to the management. So it's kind of
Yes.
4 level of decision maker go through the whole process. And it can fall in anywhere, basically unsatisfied or satisfied kind of. And we have to satisfy all these 4 ladder before really realizing the sales. So do you wanted to little bit give more insight on how this kind of models can be evaluated in terms of which qualify the cells or which don't qualify the cells in terms of the segmentation, hospital segmentations of the.
Okay. Wonderful question. And anytime I talk about customer experience or the customer journey mapping, I always get this particular question. I would say that these particular models, be it job to be done or be it customer journey mapping or even service blueprinting for that matter, they are more relevant in the B2B context than they are in the B2C context. The only difference is that in the B2B context, the decisions are made at different stages through something known as the buying center. Okay. A buying center comprises of individuals who together perform certain roles that need to be accomplished in order to make a successful purchase. And these roles are the gatekeeper, okay? So who do you approach? Where do you start? Like in your case, should I approach the receptionist or should I start with the hospital administrator or should I start with, a particular department like, let's say neurosurgery? Who do I approach first? So you have to realize who the gatekeeper is. And many times that's not as easy as it seems, In a previous life, I used to be a supplier of tool and alloy steels to government departments in India, and mostly the ammunition factories. And over there, the gatekeeper was literally the gatekeeper, Otherwise, you go out there, you have an appointment with the purchase officer and all that is fine, but you need somebody to actually escort you to that person, okay, who you're going to meet. And unless the person knew that you're going to slip him of 50 rupees or 100 rupees, which was a lot of money back then, they'll keep you waiting indefinitely. So that was the big gatekeeper I had to take into consideration.
Uh-huh.
So the gatekeeper, okay, the decider is the person with the final authority to make the decision. The purchaser, someone who arranges the terms of the purchase, okay.
Correct.
The decision maker who has the technical capability to make the decisions. So
Yes.
this would be the, some external, usually they have external experts or the technical people within the company who make that particular decision, okay? And then the
Mhm.
buyer, somebody who actually goes through the stages of the purchase for you. And you slip in any one of these and you're going to, and then the financer as well. You're going to fall face on your face, okay? So
Mhm.
with these kinds of decision makers, you will need a different job to be done template for each.
Hmm. Okay.
Because the buyer doesn't want any flaws in the buying process, because their jobs are at stake in every purchase they make, every contract that they draw. The
Mhm.
person at the top wants the glory, okay? So you have to appeal to their ego.
Yeah.
So, the financer, they're interested in you showing them the cost savings in terms of the
Yeah.
job to be done. This is what was costing you earlier, this is what it's costing you now. So
Correct.
you have to, so they might have slightly different jobs to be done under the overarching umbrella of the same job to be done in a way. And
Got it.
therefore, they will need a different job to be done canvas and a different customer journey. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it helps at least in the context of job, particularly template you suggested.
Mhm.
Probably I will take more offline, need longer
Yeah, sure.
discussion
No,
with you.
no worries. Anybody else?
Hi, sir. Mayur this side. I have actually written my question on the chat as well.
Okay.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. The question is more about when we are doing this initial research during the ambiguity phase, where we are kind of struggling and trying to identify, okay, we know the ecosystem, but not necessarily the ideal customer kind of a profile, and even the solution is getting developed. So during this phase, when we are doing more research, how do we be more accurate in terms of who has the actual need versus who might need it in future, and they will prioritize as on when they will get time. And how do we accurately do it?
Okay. So okay. I'm trying to understand your question. Are
Okay,
you
maybe I
referring?
can
Are you?
quickly give a sorry,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sure. If you can, very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, I will just quickly give a use case of what we do. We provide the freight auditing solutions. So auditing is a part of the need and part of the any of the organization who is using the third-party logistics. So in our case, as the size of the organization increases, that function becomes more kind of important in the organization. However, the mechanism and it is more organization driven. It is not necessarily like must to have, but it's good to have a function. Otherwise, the overbilling that impacts their PNL.
Yeah. Sure.
That's so when we end up talking to different customers, the way they prioritize it is different. The way they pursue the risk
Sure.
with a partner is very different. Um, so the discussion really doesn't come out very clearly unless we really don't get into the details of it and do really a pilot with them, right? So it becomes sometimes like, okay, we invest our time, but not necessarily we come up with, okay, this is the potential customer or not. So how do we approach such scenarios?
Yeah. So I think whether the organization could be a current buyer or a latent buyer, I think that can be identified in the first couple of meetings by asking the right questions. Like if you look at, I think it was the 3 sites from the back, where I have those particular questions. So if those questions can be neatly answered, then they are a current customer. Otherwise, you might want to look at, you have certain heuristics, like you said, size is one, revenues could be other, current wastage or overbilling or errors could be another one. So you could have you could design a small uh, little questionnaire that is actually going to help their customer in terms of paying attention to these things. Like, what do you think is the overbilling rate right now? Or what do you think is the error rate right now? Or, what do you think can be done more correctly? Where do you think we can improve in terms of the governance? Those kinds of issues. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Hi, Doc. I have a question, a quick one. So this is Sandeep here, and
Yeah.
I represent Binary Corporation. So we have a platform which serves the mid-size and the small-size utilities, and when I say utilities, it's about gas and electricity. The question is, while we, so you mentioned, a couple of tools or a couple of processes. Now, in order to do this, of course, there's a lot of time that is required because you need to plot each persona and then understand, as you mentioned about Miss Moitra. Like, so if we do this activity for a certain set of people and the tools that we use, and then let's say that, our ticket size is close to 25K per customer. How much is that we gonna put this in the study vis-a-vis the ticket size that we're looking at? I'm just looking at the trade-off kind of insights from you.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, like, if you put money into that kind of research a priori, then that helps you a lot in terms of weeding out the customers who, or quote unquote, the pretenders, because they are not real customers, nor will they be customers. And then you can quickly move on. Number two, it enables you to more distinctly and concisely identify the customer persona, industrial or personal, that you want to reach. Okay. So it's like, whether you should pay your employees a salary or a commission depends on the trajectory of your sales, right? If the sales are low, pay them commission. If the sales are high, pay them salary, because that's going to be a lot cheaper. So it's that kind of a question. What I would do is probably, for the full, till you get a really, or not really, fairly solid understanding of your customer base, do spend a lot of time and energy identifying those things, knowing as much as you can, and then you can start reducing on that.
Sure, thank you for that.
Could I just add something to what Sandeep said? One of the ways of looking at it is looking at it from a point of view of the lifetime value of the customer rather than the transactional value of the customer. That will help you to prioritize how deep you would want to look at a particular customer segment. So at Zen Gurus, we don't look at the transactional value of the customer, but a lifetime value of the customer. So we have plotted different life journeys. Like one of our life journeys is from the womb to the dom, which is the parenting journey of any seeker. So if you look at the lifetime value of the customer, then you invest more time in plotting the customer experience across the lifetime of the customer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I think we are going over and beyond. So let's, Sanjay ji, it's all yours.
Thank you, Sunil. Excellent presentation. Every time I listen to that, I learn something new. So thank you, very well done. So what we are going to do now is we are going to go to breakout rooms. You know the drill now by now, right? We have done this for last 2 weeks. They can still flash in terms of which breakout rooms each of you will need to go to. and we have about 45 minutes. So we'll go there, have presentations, actually about 35 minutes. So in that, we'll talk about the past assignments, and then we'll come back to the main session again. The breakout rooms are same as last time. So if you know where you were last time, so you go to the same breakout room. And Dev, you will give them option.
Mhm. Yep. Let me stop sharing. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I cannot see my Zoom's control panel. Anyways, I'll open the breakout rooms. So you should see a pop-up on your screen now.
Not it.
नाला नहीं है देवदत्त।
Let me try. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can see it. Maybe everyone else can see it. I can't see it.
ये 3 dots click कर
Oh,
अंदर।
I see. I see. So last time, I think now it is happening. Okay, join that. Okay.
Which 3 dots? I don't see it even now.
If you go into more, Sudhir जी,
The more press मला दिसत नाही.
zoom वर,
No, zoom वरच ना.
हाँ, there is a more option and then those 3 dots, if you click, there is a option for join breakout room.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Yep.
More. I'm still struggling.
I'll put you in the room. Do you remember your room number?
Yeah, room 3, but I don't. Yeah, the funny thing is I don't see the more thing. I wonder
Yeah,
why.
even I don't have it. I don't have it. So, Dev, can you just admit me in room number 3, and same for Sudhirji, whatever was his room, if you can just admit us there.
Yeah, I've added you both.
Oh yeah. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Kamakshini, Nilesh, Govind, do you need any help? Piyush Giri, Mahadev, Mahadevji, do you need any help? Govind, Agriways Private Limited.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to join the breakout room, Govind?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Kamakshini, Kamakshini, are you able to hear me? Nilesh,